Gregor Chapter 26. It was Solovit Gregor ended up telling the story to. She appeared shortly after Vicus, having kissed Lux's wet cheeks and embraced Gregor. If he was not concerned about his injuries, she was. She immediately led him down to the hospital section of the palace to be treated. While doctors cleaned and stitched his leg and tried to bring down the swelling in his nose, Gregor spilled out everything that had happened since they parted. The journey through the rancid caves, the arrival of the spiders, Henry's attempt to kill Ripred, Boots's fever, Tick's sacrifice at the bridge, finding his dad, and the strange series of events that fulfilled Sandwich's prophecy. When he finished, he felt like a balloon someone had let all the air out of. He just wanted to see his dad and Boots and then go to sleep. Solovit led him first to Boots, who was in the nursery with other sick kids. She had been bathed and changed she was warm enough, and she was still warm to the touch. Dulcet promised him the illness was not serious. We cannot cure many things still, but we can cure this. It's just a case of damp fever, she said soothingly. Gregor smoothed back Boots's curls and went on to see his dad. His father already looked better, his face relaxed in sleep. The Underlanders had not only bathed him, but they groomed his hair and beard. The foul rat skins had been replaced by silken garments. They fed him and had given him a calming medicine. When he awakes, will he be okay? Asked Gregor. No one who spends years with the rats can expect to be unchanged, said Solovit gently. But his mind and body will heal. I believe so. Gregor had been satisfied with that. He himself would never be the same after what he witnessed in the Underland. He had to expect some changes in his dad, too. As he left the hospital, he heard a happy voice cry out, "Overlander!" Meredith caught him up in a big bear hug. Gregor was glad to see Meredith alive, although he had injuries from recent battles. "Hey, Meredith," he said, "how's it going?" "It goes darkly, as it goes in war, but you brought light back to us," he said firmly. "Oh, yeah?" said Gregor. He was pretty much had forgotten that part of the prophecy. An overland warrior, son of the sun, may bring us back light. He may bring us back none. So he must have done it after all, brought back light. He wasn't really sure how, but if Meredith said so, all the Underlanders must believe it. What light? He asked. The images filled his head were relentlessly dark. The news of King Gorger's death reached the rats. They fell into chaos. We have driven them far back into the Deadland. Without a leader, they are in total disarray, said Meredith. "Oh, good," said Gregor. "I hope it lasts." Meredith took him to his old room, the one he had shared with Boots. He took a short bath, just to lose the smell of rotten eggs that clung to him from the dripping tunnel, and fell into bed. When he awoke, he sensed that he had slept a long time. For the first minute or two, he lay in drowsy security, not remembering. Then all that happened flashed before his eyes, and he couldn't stay in bed any longer. He took a second bath and then ate food that had appeared in his room while he was gone. Gregor was about to go to the hospital when Luxa ran into his room. Her eyes were red from crying, but she seemed her own self. "Gregor, you must come. Hurry." She grabbed his arm, pulling him after her. His first thought was that there had been an attack on the palace, but it was not it. "It's Ares. They mean to banish him," gasped Luxa as the two of them sprinted toward the corridors. He did not know Gregor. He did not know of Henry's plan any more than I. "I know he didn't," said Gregor. They burst into the room that Gregor had not yet seen. It looked like a small arena. Several hundred bats and humans sat on elevated bleachers that rose up around the central stage. In the front row, they saw members of Regalia Council, including Vicus and Solovit. In the middle of the stage, alone and stooped, stood Ares. When Gregor and Luxa ran onto the stage, Aurora fluttered out of the bleachers to join them. "Stop!" yelled Gregor, trying to catch his breath. "You can't do this." He didn't know what all the ins and outs of banishment, but he did remember Luxa saying that no one survived living in the Underland alone for long. Maybe a rat like Ripred could, but he was extraordinary under any conditions. Everyone rose to their feet at Gregor's appearance and bowed in unison. "Welcome, warrior, and many thanks for all that you brought us," said Vicus formally, but he also gave Gregor a sad smile that felt much more personal. "Yeah, you're welcome," said Gregor. What are you doing to Ares? We are about to vote on his fate," said Vicus. There has been much debate about whether he was privy to Henry's plot." "He wasn't," said Gregor. "Of course he wasn't, or he wouldn't be standing here. He saved me and let Henry fall when he realized what was happening." "He was bonded to Henry," said a large red bat. "It is difficult to believe in his innocence." "What of my innocence?" asked Luxa, her voice tight. "No one was nearer Henry than myself. Would you banish me as well?" An uncomfortable murmur ran through the room. Everyone knew how close the cousins had been, and yet Luxa had been the target of Henry's treachery. "Even if Ares is cleared on charges of treason, there is still the issue of his breaking the bond," said the red bat, "and it in itself is cause for banishment. Even when you find out you're bonded to a really evil guy?" asked Gregor. "It seems like there ought to be a special rule for that." Several members of the council began to dig through piles of old scrolls as if hoping to find the answer to his question, but others were still clearly after blood. "Whether he is banished for treason or bond breaking, I care not. I just want him gone. Who among us would ever trust him again?" shouted a woman. There was an uproar in the arena. Ares seemed to hunch down even further, as if crushed by the weight of the anger against him. Gregor didn't know what to do. He couldn't stand by and watch them throw Ares out into the deadland to fend for himself. But how could he change their minds? The red bat echoed the last words Gregor had heard clearly. "Yes, who among us could trust him again?" "I could," said Gregor, silencing the crowd. "I trust him with my life." And then he knew what he needed to do. He ran to Ares and extended his hand. The bat lifted his head in puzzlement and then understood. "Oh no, Overlander," he whispered. "I am not worthy to accept." Gregor reached out and grabbed the claw on Ares' left wing with his right hand. You could hear a pin drop in the room as he spoke the words, "Ares the Flyer, I bond to you." That was all he could remember, the pledge that Luxa had told him, and she was right behind him, feeding the words in a whisper. "Our life and death are one, we two, in dark, in flame, in war, in strife." And the last line came to Gregor without prompting. "I save you as you saved my life." Some hope had come back into Ares. The warrior bonding with him was no guarantee he could escape banishment, but it was something that could not be easily ignored. Still, he hesitated. "Say it," said Gregor softly. "Please say it back." And Ares did finally, replacing his name with Gregor's own. "Gregor the human, I bond to you. Our life and death are one, we two. In dark, in flame, in war, in strife, I save you as I save my life." Gregor stepped back to face the crowd, and he and Ares stood before them, hands still locked in claw. Gregor spoke with a power that was entirely new to him. "I am the warrior. I am he who called. Who among you dares banish Ares, my bond?" End of chapter 26.